Things First is sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
Hi, everyone. Good morning and welcome to First Things First.
Look who's here.
I am Jenna Wolf. We have Cris Carter, the Hall of Famer, back with us after a day in Atlanta yesterday. Thank you. Nick Wright, right here. We have some football to discuss, thanks to last night. Other things going on. Doug Peterson, all but guaranteeing a win this week against the Cowboys. Freddie Kitchens expects Baker Mayfield to turn things around, and quickly. We have to start with a little Monday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers facing the Detroit Lions. We picked this up in the fourth quarter. Packers down 9. Rodgers finds Allen Lazard, 35-yard pass. Rodgers was running out of options with no Devontae Adams, no Geronimo Allison. How about this? Lazard was on the practice squad as early as this offseason. Touchdown Green Bay, Packers down 2. Packers with one last chance, under 2 to play in the fourth. Rodgers scrambles, throws the incomplete pass that would have forced a fourth down, but hold on. Refs call an illegal use of hands to the face. Take a look at this play. You be the judge. Lions lineman Trey Flowers called for this penalty twice on third down in the fourth. So that means Mason Crosby, with 2 seconds left on the clock, nails the 23-yarder to win the game. Packers improved to 5-1. Here's Aaron Rodgers after the win.
A lot of resilience with our guys. Matt talks a lot about kind of a no-blink mentality. I think that just means that you move on to the next play, and you have a short memory. That's important in this business. But cliches aside, it's really about the confidence. You know, I think we were a very confident group, and even though we got punched in the mouth a little bit to start the game, I think we responded the right way.
All right, Nick, how'd the Packers do it? How'd they battle back and take the W in this one?
Well, two distinct things were going on in this game. One is the Packers are a really, really good football team that can beat you a multitude of different ways. And if you're Detroit and you jump out on them early, a Green Bay team that has been elite early in games, this is their worst start to any game all year, you cannot be kicking 26-yard field goal, 22-yard field goal. You have to turn those threes into 7. And in the second half of this game, the Lions offense just died. In the second half of the game, they only had 2 drives go more than 10 yards after moving the ball almost at will in the first half. So that happened. That Detroit can say we had opportunities. We needed to take better advantage of those opportunities. The best Lion yesterday might have been Matt Prater, who was just nails from every distance field goal, making 5 field goals. So I understand that part of it, and Green Bay deserves credit for weathering the storm, and Detroit's going to feel a little angsty about not getting those touchdowns. With that said, this, unfortunately, game is not going to be remembered for those things. It's going to be remembered for when Detroit had a 9-point lead with 10 minutes left in the game, and they get a sack on Aaron Rodgers, where the Packers are going to be in a bad way, down 2 scores, having to punt inside of 10 minutes. Illegal hands to the face is called on Trey Flowers, a penalty evidently he's never been called for in his entire NFL career, and we see the replay, and it is a legal hand to the shoulder. Now, it's a powerful hand, and it's such a powerful hand that he is, with that hand, forcing David Bakhtiari's back and head backwards, but it's with a legal placement. And if that's not bad, what makes it even worse is the exact same player on the exact same offensive lineman gets called for the exact same incorrect penalty that would have been Packers kicking a 35-ish yard field goal with 1:40 left, and it would, even if they make it, Detroit down 1 with the ball, chance to win. The Packers now can run out the clock. So, yes, Detroit had opportunities, just like, by the way, the Rams had had opportunities in the NFC Championship game after the non-call and pass interference. Even on a call that bad, yes, you have opportunities. You can say we could have won the game. But this was an officiating blunder or blunders that if you're Detroit, you're saying, yeah, we'll get a letter from the league saying we screwed that up. What is that going to do for us? It marred an otherwise really good football game.
Yeah, well, they lost the game in the beginning. If you know what the end is going to be and you look back on it and say, well, how would you be able to correct it? Even if with the bad calls. If you get more than a field goal off those first initial drives, you talked about in the second half, their inability to be able to move the ball. That's because Green Bay does have a defense, and their defense did tighten up after first drive, 69 yards, second drive, 74 yards, third drive, 64 yards, and you only get 3 points, 3 and 3. An NFL game.
3, 7, and 3.
Yeah, 3, 7, and 3. But those first couple ones, especially inside the 10-yard line, you don't get touchdowns in Lambeau Field. There's a good chance you're going to lose the game. And Aaron Rodgers was able to, and they were able to stay patient enough, not getting out of their running game that Matt LaFleur has given them since he's been there. And in this game, you could see that offensive line is getting better and better at running the ball. But because the Lions weren't able to score touchdowns early compared to field goals, Green Bay was able to be patient, hang in the game, and even at that point being within 2 scores. It should have been outside of that margin because they had dominated the game. But Green Bay's defense, the Smith brothers, they were back on the case in the second half, harassing Matthew Stafford. And as you said, this is a good team. And before, they only had one path, one way to be able to win a game. That was with Aaron Rodgers' heroics. They do have a number of ways that they can win now.
So the Packers won. They're now 5-1. But they do have issues on offense. Aaron Rodgers found a way to find 9 different receivers last night, but you still have no Davante Adams. You have injuries to Geronimo Allison. Scantling was injured as well. Are you worried about what Aaron Rodgers at some point is not going to be able to do?
Well, listen, they found a way to win last night with no Davante Adams. You mentioned Geronimo Allison went out. Marquez Valdes-Scantling went out briefly in the game. He came back. It looked scary, by the way, his injury. I was surprised he was able to come back. But you saw the downside to not having reliable receivers. Now, the Lazard kid, the undrafted kid that's caught the touchdown to cut it to 1 score, that's a hell of a play by another one of these 6'5" receivers they seem to like so much in Green Bay. But Shepard, their punt returner, and then all of a sudden had to be emergency wide receiver, you saw why he is not high on the receiving depth chart. It's not only that he fumbled the punt, but when Green Bay was initially trying to come back, Rodgers throws it past him at the goal line that literally hits him in the face and is picked off and returned the other way for Detroit. Another possession, by the way, Detroit can only turn into 3. But Green Bay, they're now 3-0 in the division, in the toughest division in football. They have these injuries, but they have a little bit of margin of error now, having beaten the Vikings, the Bears, and the Lions, and having the 2nd best record in the NFC behind only San Francisco.
Yeah, and they're going to need it. The lack of wide receivers, and I told you guys when Davante Adams got hurt, that toe injury, it's a significant injury, especially for the 2 positions, defensive back and wide receiver, because the constant pressure of you trying to explode or trying to stop and needing your big toe to be able to do that. So that turf toe, I believe, will be part of their storyline all year. It's hard to replace his productivity. And we have to realize that Green Bay's front office, we knew they went through a whole facelift as far as moving off the coach, going to spend some money on the defense. It's going to take at least another offseason for them to be able to add some things on the offensive side. They do have 2 good quality running backs. I don't believe that they have a tight end. They need a younger tight end compared to the 2 veteran tight ends they have now, and they need someone opposite of Davante Adams. But given all the resources they spent and given everything that they've done, that's the only part that you can see right now on this roster that prevents them from being the elite team in the NFC.
They don't have the best record in the NFC, but where do you rank them in the NFC right now?
Oh, listen, I think the Packers right now have shown they're the best team in the NFL.
Better than the Niners.
I do. Just because right now the Niners defense is better than the Packers. The Packers defense is very good, and I trust their passing game more than I trust the Niners passing game, even though both have questions at wide receiver right now.
I worry about Green Bay's run defense. That's been suspect, and you know how San Francisco runs the ball. And Detroit last night, did they sack Aaron Rodgers, 6 times?
Sounds right.
6 times? Okay, now, how are they going to block them?
Sure.
I keep telling Green Bay's offensive line, sometimes they get these lofty accolades, but I believe that they're overrated. And that San Francisco front, to me, I believe right now San Francisco is the most feared team because that style, it travels anywhere. Davante Adams, we don't know about him. We don't know about his overall health because we know those other receivers aren't going to be able to hold down that wide receiver spot.
Just quickly to circle back on the Detroit side of things, Detroit's played 3 games this year they didn't win. They are all gutting games.
Losses.
I mean, the game, you're up 18 against Arizona in the fourth quarter. That's a tie.
Week 1.
You're up 3 against the Chiefs. Have them in a 4th and 8 in your building. You lose that game, and then this one where they had plenty of opportunities, and then the blown calls go against them. A team that legitimately could be 5-0, a shocking 5-0 like San Francisco, 2-1. Tough for Matt Patricia and his crew.
Well, it wasn't the Packers' greatest game, but they got the win there. Now 5-1. Take a break coming up. Doug Peterson, all but guaranteeing a win against those Cowboys. Hear it from him next on FS1. You can always check us out on the Fox Sports channel on SiriusXM. We'll be right back.